G'day mates, Jacaro Toro here, and on this channel I focus on Australian Aborigines, their languages, cultures, history, and so on. And this here now is the second video about kinship terminology in the Ngarla language of the Pilbara region of Western Australia. I have another series of videos about the systems of social organization that were spread in huge areas of Australia. When it comes to kinship terminology though, each tribe tended to have its own, come up with its own terminology, and it is fairly complicated. As we can see here today, these 25 terms that I have on the board here are terms for children. Well, actually, I also threw in a couple for grandchildren over there. But all terms, the rest of them, are for children. So I thought to myself, how do I divide all of these terms into groups? And what I have done is here in black I have a number of terms, all of which, except for the last one, are similar in that they all start with ku, and after ku comes a retroflex consonant. So a consonant sound produced with the tip of the tongue bending backwards. So we have kud, kud. Further down we get kun, and then we come to kur. And most of these terms also take dual and plural marking. In blue in the middle here, I first have kinship terms that start with a pronoun. And then we have terms that end in granya and ngunya. Perhaps these ones are not kinship terms, strictly speaking, but they are also terms that were used by Ngarla speakers to refer to people, to single out people, specifically children. So that's why I have included them. And over here we have reciprocal terms, which is a feature of Australian Aboriginal kinship terminology. Reciprocal terms are used by people that have a particular type of relation to each other to refer to each other. So they are used by both parties, hence reciprocal terms. So like father's older brother and younger brother's son, and so on. But we will get to those reciprocal terms over there. I thought we could start with the ku terms here. So here first we have what is a parent's term of reference or address for own children. And this one is crossed out, as is this one, because the thing is only the dual and plural forms exist. Corresponding singular forms do not exist. Why not? Well, there was no need for the singular forms because instead of a singular form, people would use the child's name. But we have in the dual Ngara and in the plural Malinga. These here should be compared to Nganu here in the middle column, where Nganu is first person singular pronoun dative. Dative also frequently used for genitive, so my. This is also a term of reference or address for one's own child or children. Note, there is only one form here, no dual or plural. This one, however, was considered more formal and polite than these ones. Below here, we have a father's term of address for sons. Once again, then, not for one son, but for two sons, kodara, and for three or more, kodamalinga. Yes. And then we come to three terms that are very similar here. Kundal, kundalgara, but not kundal malinga for some reason, but rather kundan malinga. So kundal. A term of reference or address for one's daughter or a brother's or a sister's daughter. Yes, that's kundal. Kundalgara is a term of reference for a man and his daughter, or a woman and her daughter, and also, as it so happens, for a man and his sister's son. Yes, and Kundan Malinga, used the wrong consonant sound there, essentially means family. It denotes parents, two people that are married and that have a child or children, plus one or more of their children. So family. At the bottom here, we have koring and wargo, where koring is one's own son or one's sister's son, so a biological relative. Whereas wargo is a term of address. Brian Gatenbeek, my friend and colleague who has recorded these terms, unfortunately does not say if this is a term of reference or address, or both. Yes, a bit unfortunate. Anyway, wargo, term of address for a man's son or a man's brother's or sister's son. Now, going back to the middle column and to the kinship terms that start with the pronoun. This one is the dative, as I said, and these forms here are also based on the dative. Here we have ngalianga, that is the first person dual exclusive dative, and here we have nganananga, that is the first person plural exclusive dative. So exclusive pronouns are all about excluding someone. So here, with a first person dual exclusive, this denotes the speaker, the one who is speaking, plus someone else, but not the one who is listening. Same thing here. A plural exclusive pronoun denotes the speaker, some other people, but not the one listening. So, according to the definitions written down by Gatenbeek, ngaliangarango is a term of reference for one's own child or children, used between a brother and a sister, plus a spouse of either of them. So this is our child or our children, not yours. Same thing here. And here we have three different terms, singular, dual, and plural. Term of reference for one's own child or children, used between sisters and brothers, plus a spouse of either of them. So ngananangkarango in the singular, ngananangkarango jara in the dual, and ngananangkarango mada in the plural. Mada is a plural marking suffix in ngara. Here in these kinship terms, we usually find malinga marking plural. But in this case, they have chosen mada for some reason. Yes. And as I said about the Guranya and Ngonya terms, perhaps they are not kinship terms, strictly speaking, but they are nevertheless words that were used to single out people. So, Murgangonya, oldest child. Nyiringonya, youngest child. Here we have two different words that both mean an only child. We have Walyangoranya and Kadiriga. Here, this can be either Kadapalgoranya or just Kadapal, middle child. And we have Nyirilgoranya, which is the youngest or the oldest child of a second spouse. In the traditional society, Aboriginal men usually had more than one wife over the course of their lives. So there were often children from the second spouse. Yes, and then finally the reciprocal terms. So Yaro, a mother's older sister and a younger sister's child, either son or daughter. Yoro, father's older brother, and specifically younger brother's son. Yinara, mother's brother and sister's son. And then we have the grandchild terms here. There is a yagan in Ngara. Here we have the dual and the plural forms. I am not going to explain here and now what yagan is specifically. It gets a bit complicated. But anyway, yagangara is a grandparent plus spouse. Not necessarily also a grandparent. As I just said, Aboriginal men tended to have more than one wife over the course of their lives. So grandparent plus spouse and a grandchild plus spouse. Here we have Yagan Malinga, which is grandparents plus siblings, their siblings, or grandchildren and siblings. So what does this mean? Aren't these ones also grandchildren? Well, not necessarily. They could be half-siblings, and thus not the actual grandchildren of the grandparent in question. That's how I think we need to interpret this, that Gatenbeek has written. Yes, so as you can see, a plethora of terms. It does get complicated. In the coming videos, things will be less complicated as it so happens. So hopefully you will be interested in watching those. If you've made it this far, why not like this video and send it to someone you think might be interested in it. And I will be back then, as I have indicated. So, see you later.